Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, a'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla. Wa anta taj'alul hazna idha shi'ta sahla. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum. I welcome you all to the class of those Lugha al-Arabiya لغير ناطقين بها. Inshallah ta'ala, today we'll continue from where we left off, and we'll continue from Ad-Darsu Salis, right? The third unit, the third lesson, Ad-Darsu Salis. Okay, so let's begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Here we are learning passive form, right? We are learning passive form, majhul, and passive forms are very important because we find them a lot in the Quran as well as in the Hadith, right? The passive forms. Let me check if our notes cover. I don't think he has for passive forms. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a notes on passive form. Okay, let me show you the other conjugation file. Not this one. In that, we can have a look at the passive forms of all the verbs. Yeah, intermediate dictionary. Yeah, this is what we want. So, how do we make passive forms? And what is passive actually? Right, passive forms are those forms in which the file is not mentioned. The one who's doing the action is not mentioned. It's called majhul verb, right? Majhul, or we can say uh, al-fa'ilu al-fi'lu ma lam yusamma. Yeah, we don't know who did it. Correct. Al-fi'lu ma lam yusamma fa'iluhu. Hmm? It's also called fi'l ma lam yusamma fa'iluhu. It's also called mabniyun lil majhul or mabniyun lil ma'lum. Ma'lum is the active voice, is the active form, and majhul is the passive form, right? Majhul is the passive form. Uh, so how do you make it? It's very simple. Uh, you take the verb like fa'ala, fa'ala, and this is for Madi, okay? For Madi, you take the verb fa'ala and you give the first letter dhamma, or first you start with the second last letter. So second last letter is this, right? And then you give it a kasra, and any any mutaharrik letter before it, you give it a dhamma, right? Fu'ila. Because we just learned the passive of we just learned three-letter verbs, and this is how it is done, right? Like like qatala, qatala. So you make it how qutila, qutila. That's it. This is how majhul is made. Qutila, daraba. hmm? So it'll be duriba, duriba, duriba. He was hit. He was hit. And anytime you have a passive form, you don't have a file. You have a maful bihi, which gets turned into a naib file. Right? It's called naibun file, a naib file. For example, daraba zaidun amran or muhammadan, whatever. Mm, Muhammadan. Zaid hit Muhammad. Now, I want to make it passive. I want to say Muhammad was hit. I don't want to say Zaid's name because I don't know, or I just want to hide his name. So I said Duriba. Muhammadun naib file. The naib file is called naib file now. The mafulun bihi, the objects becomes the naib file. Right? So this is Duriba Muhammadun, the naib fa'il, like the fa'il. is always marfu. Is always marfu. Marfu, never mansub. Even though technically it was the object before, right? Yeah, the naif file, right? The naif file, which was previously the object. So we have a verb called daraba Zaidun Muhammadan, a sentence, right? Zaid hit Muhammad. Okay. Now I want to say Muhammad was hit. So the file will anyways drop because, right, the file will anyways drop. So this Muhammadan, this maf'ulun bihi will get changed and it will now be called the naib fa'il, the vice file. Naib means what? Vice or uh, right? Substitute file, whatever. Okay. Page number, this lesson number 3. We're starting lesson 3. Naib file. So it will become marfu duriba Muhammadun, right? The naib file is always marfu, always marfu. Okay, what is naib file? The object which was there before. Like, and let me give you another example. So Muhammadun will be marfu always, naib file, yes. Yes, always marfu. Like khalaqallahu, khalaqallahul insana. Who is the file here? Yeah, we shouldn't think it's the doer of duriba. No, there's no doer at all. Right? There's no file at all for majhul verbs. Right? We don't consider it at all. We don't care. We don't know and we cannot find out. Right? There's no file for majhul verbs. There's only naib file. Okay, okay. There's only naib file. We cannot literally say it's a file, right? Because Muhammadun is the one who's getting hit. So that is why they named it naib file. Okay. Let's look at this example. Yeah, Lafzul Jalala is the file here. Now, Al Insana is the maf'ulun bihi. Now, how do I say human was created? So I'll do khalaqa, it'll become khuliqa. Yeah, khuliqa. And then what? Khuliqal. What will come? Any guess? Khuliqal. What can come? Insana? No. That is what we are learning here. It will be khuliqal insanu. Yeah. Khuliqal insanu. Okay. Right? Khalaqallahu al-insana. Khuliqal insan. Insan was created. Khuliqal insanu fi kabads, for example, in haste, in toil. It comes in the Quran, right? That this khuliqal insanu means khuliqal insanu da'ifa. Yeah. Da'ifa. Daifan. So what is this insanu? Is this the file of khuliqa? No, it is called the naib file. The naib file, right? Naib file is always, again, marfu, always, like the file. The naib file is always marfu. Mm. Mm. Like we can show some examples in the Quran for khuliqa, right? I think there are 2, 3 verses like that. Khalaqa, khalaqa. I want khuliqa. I cannot search for khuliqa separately. Ah, yeah. وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Yes, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَن يُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ. Allah wants to reduce a burden for you. وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. What is insanu here? Na'i fa'il, marfu', and any other khalaqa, khalaqa, khalaqa. I want khuliqa. That's like so many times khalaqa again. 203 times. قُتِلَ الْإِنسَانُ. Yes, قُتِلَ الْإِنسان. Cursed be the person. Cursed be the human being. Right? Min sharri ma khalaq. No, I want khuliqa. So many times it comes, yeah. Passive is like very, very common. خُلِقوا أَمْ خُلِقوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ. Were they created from nothing? Min ghayri shay'in is from nothing. Ghayr shay'in is thing, so ghayr shay is nothing. Am humul khaliqun, or did they create themselves? Because a person getting created, there could be three options, right? He creating himself, creating from nothing, and Allah creating. Allah creating is understood. And Allah is asking, Am khuliqu min ghayri shay'in, am humul khaliqun. So this is very common. Huh? So what you do? Khuliqa. This is called naib file. Naib file is always marfu. So we can see all the babs, right? For example, let me show you. I just want to show you the three-letter babs. Right? Fa'ala, fu'ila, majhul. See, anytime you see a table, generally they'll give the ma'lum, majhul. So now we are learning the second major portion. This is a major portion in morphology, right? Because active, passive are like two sisters, right? You see an active verb, you see a passive verb all the time. All the time. So what you do, you take the second last letter, give it a kasra, and the previous mutaharrik letter, give it a dhamma. Qutila, fu'ila. And for mudare, what you do, same thing you do, except you don't give a kasra, you give the second last letter a fatha. I could say ain kalima, right? I could say ain kalima as of now. Yes, I could say. Why am I saying second last letter? Because for big verbs, when we learn yesterday, we talked about in the that like istaghfara. How do I make this majhul? So I take the second last letter, give it, because it's madi, I give it a kasra, and then is, this has a sukun, this has a sukun, so I leave it like that. But is, this is mutaharrik, has a haraka, so ustughfira, this I leave it like that. So ustughfira, right? Forgiveness was sought, all right, so on and so on. Okay, inshallah, we'll see when we are learning form 10 and so on, right? But he doesn't go much into passive for Mazid Fihi, because learning Mazid Fihi itself is a great job. So even I won't go in so much into that. But this is a rule. Second last letter for Madi, give it a kasra. For Mudare, give it a fatha. And any mutaharrik letter, that is which is not sukun, right? Mutaharrik means which is not sukun, you give it dhamma. Where can I'll send this PDF. Yeah. This is I'll send this, I'll put this in the group. Uh, it will come now. Yeah, it's coming. Okay. So you file in the mudare. Yeah, present tense. Yeah, mudare. So this is all the conjugation of it. Fu'ila, fu'ila, fu'ilu, fu'ilat, fu'ilata, fu'ilna. Fulta, fultuma, fultum, fulti, fultuma, fultunna, fultu, fulna. Yufalu, yufalani, yufaluna, tufalu, tufalani, yufalna. Same thing, same conjugation. All right. This is what it is. Like kataba, he wrote, it'll become kutiba. Yaktubu, he writes yuktabu. Right? And the same conjugation following that. Right? Madda. Now this is like ajja. So how do you make it majhul? It actually became mudida. Like normally, right? Mudida. So again, the dals were joined together. It became mudda. Madda means to spread. So mudda means it was spread. Yamuddu, yumaddu. Right? Okay, we'll learn inshallah. He brings it in the lesson also. Right? I'm just trying to go over a brief about this. Right? Akala is mahmuz. So ukila, it was eaten. Yakulu, yukalu. Hmm? What happens is you just memorize them. I mean, you get so used to the passive forms, you don't even have to think about it later on, right? And you can make it like without thinking, right? Inshallah, because you see it so many places and so on. uh, it becomes second nature, right? Akala, yukalu, akhada, ukhida. See, fu'ila pattern, and then yakhudhu, yuf'alu pattern. You can remember fu'ila, yuf'alu. These are the two patterns for majhul. That's it for three-letter verbs. Huh? There's some changes here and there, but basically it remains. This is what, right? And then you follow, and you can do the conjugation. Conjugation is not important, right? Because we can do it. I mean, it's not that difficult. It's the same, changing the endings and so on. You khadu, it was taken. Hana, this is Hunia. This is Mahmuz Alam. Wajala, Wujila. This is fine. Uh, this is very rare, so I won't go. This is also rare. Yeah, this is important. Qala, qala. What happened with qala is ajwaf. Now, qala we learned in book two, right? This is actually qawala, right? So it's wow. So it should have become quvila, but we know that the kasras and wow don't get together. So wow ran away again, and ya came because we they don't like saying we anytime in Arabic, right? So they leave it like that. So quvila became qila because wow runs away. Qila yaqulu again. What happened? Yaqulu yuf'alu pattern, right? So you became yuqvalu. Wow with a fatha again valu. So they change. We'll change it to a alif. So yuqalu. It comes in the Quran all the time. Yuqalu. It is said. It is said. Right? Yuqalu. Yaqila yuqalu. Qila yuqalu. Uh, right? So we can do the conjugate. Qilti, qilta, qiltuma, qiltum. Qilta means what? Qulta means you said. Qilta means it was said to you. Right? It was said to you. It sounds weird in English, but that's how it is. Kana does not have a majhul because to become a passive, it should be a mutaaddi verb. Like you can do the conjugation, but it won't sound correct. Like zahaba, he went. It's a lazim, right? It's a lazim verb. It's like intransitive. It doesn't take an object. So should I say zuhiba means what? He was taken. He was went. It doesn't make sense, right? Right? Or sometimes it can take like so for that what we do is we use like you made someone sit, like jalasa is to sit, we use form for adlasa is to make someone sit. Hmm? Like adlastuka, I made you sit, something like that. So, so not all verbs can have because it will not make sense, right? Okay, ala is fine. I mean, da, yeah, this is again, this is naqis now. This alif, again, this alif, we know that da yadu in naqis. Ana is a good boy, doesn't have passive. Nah. Because he was now. What can you do for he was? It's just a naqis anyway. I mean, incomplete verb, right? He, you can't do anything to that. Kuvina, what? It doesn't make sense at all. So da is to call. Now it was actually da'ava, if you remember. Now, if you make it fu'ila pattern, it became du'iva again. So previous letter is a kasra and so on. So ya comes again. It gets changed into a ya. So du'iya. Very rare all these are, but still he gives in the lesson, he brings it later on. Du'iya. He was called. And yad'u again, they change it into an alif maqsura. Yud'a. Yawma. It comes in the Quran. Yud'a. Yawma yud'una. Ila nari jahannam. That is pushing, I guess, not you that. Yeah, it comes only once. وهو يدعى إلى الإسلام ومن أظلم ممن افترى على الكذب وهو يدعى, when he's called to Islam. يدعى. So yad'u, yad'uva, again wow, instead of changing into an alif, because with wow and alif, so they change into alif maqsura, right? Yud'a. So yud'auna comes, I think. Yudauna looks same as Yaduna, right? Yudauna and Yaduna. It's just the tashkil which is different, right? Sha'a, Shu'ya is fine again. Daraba, Duriba, right? Very common. Yudrabu, same, very easy. This is also. Farra, this is like Hajja. What we said? Hajja, Hujja. Hajja, Hujja means Hajj was done, kind of. Hajj was done. Farra means to run away. Furra means someone was made to run, something like, I don't know. It's just the conjugation, we need not find sense in it. Asara, usira, fine. Ruisa, wasala, wusila. Uh, Now in misal, wajada, all right, misal, how do you say Hajj was done by me last year? This we cannot say in Arabic. No. If you are bringing naib file, right, you cannot bring the file again. Zaid was hit by Amr. We cannot say it in Arabic. Not possible. You cannot say it in Arabic. No. Because Duriba Zaidun Amra. We cannot do that at all. No. In Arabic, it's not possible. Zaid was hit by Amr. No. Not possible, right? He brings that note also in the key. If you read, he brings the like the first para. This is not allowed. We cannot. The soldier was shot by this. No, was shot by the thief or by the terrorist. Whatever, right? We cannot do that. Yasilu. Now with misal, what happens is the wow comes back. Yeah, I did Hajj last year. Yes, yes, I did Hajj last year. Now, Yasilu, Yusalu. The wow comes back in misal when it is passive. Remember this rule. So walada, what is the mudare for walada? Walada is to give birth. What is the mudare for walada? Anyone? It's bab daraba. Wasala, yasilu, walada, yalidu. It's fatha. No, yalidu. Don't give dhamma. Why dhamma? Wasala yasilu, walada yalidu. Hmm? Okay. Walada yalidu. Okay. Yalidu means he is giving, not he is giving birth. It has to be she is giving birth. But although there's conjugation, but see, it sounds weird, right? He's giving birth. It should be talidu. Mm? She is giving birth. Uh, or it could mean something else also in the context, like I gave you birth doesn't mean I literally gave you birth. It's just that I'm your father. Huh? So that is there. And then how do you make it majhul? So yalidu is there, right? How do you make it majhul? You bring the wow back. Because yalidu is actually yaulidu. If you remember, misal, we read it, right? It was the vowel dropped, right? Wajada yaujadu, it was. So yaujidu. So it is brought. So it is yulad. Yuladu. So you give a dhamma, right? You have to give a dhamma to the this thing. Right? So Allah says in the Quran, Lam yalid. Why sukun? Because of lam. He did not give birth. Walam yulad. Nor was he given birth to. He neither begets nor is he begotten. Yulad. Alright? Lam yalid walam yulad. This is same verb, but ma'lum. This is majhul. Lam yalid walam yulad. He does not have a child, nor is he a father. I mean, this is does not have a child. This does not have father, parents, or what. It neither begets nor is he begotten. Right? Lam yalid walam yulad. Hmm? This is how, like wajada, yajidu is the mudare, right? Yajidu yujad. Yujad. It is found. Yujad fi kathirin min al dual. It is found in a lot of countries. Something, something. Yujad. Okay. This is what is important. Wow comes back. In misal, what is misal? Wow is the first letter is a wow. And the wow comes back. Yatama is he became yatim, so there's no majhul. He was made yatim. Huh? It was ba, yeah, ba also like qala, qila. Same like qala yaqulu, even if it's a wawi or a yai. Alhamdulillah, there's no twist here. Ba biya, it was sold. Biya, right? Biya, right? But the thing is, bi'na becomes bu'na. Why? Because it becomes same here, and we have to give a dhamma, right? Fu'ila pattern. It was actually buya, buya, right? We have to give a dhamma to the first letter, right? Fu'ila pattern. So here we cannot give where there's a ya, but here we can when the ya is dropped. So with the dhamma comes at borna, borta, botam. Bota means you were sold. Right? Something. You were sold this thing. Borta. Bortu borna. So the dhamma comes back. This is the only. Bi'tu is I sold. Bortu is I was sold. Botu fit dukan. I was sold in the shop. Right? The same thing for mudare. Yabiru becomes yuba'u. It becomes the alif comes back and not comes back. It gets changed into an alif. Like yaqulu yuqalu. Yabiru yuba'u. It is being sold in the market. Yuba'u fil maktabati huna. It is sold in those markets, in those libraries or shops over there. Tuba'u. Tuba'u. It is being sold. Uba'u. I am being sold. Something. Ja'a again, very, very common. Ja'a. This is ajwaf again. Qila. So it becomes Gia. Gia. Jia. It comes in the Quran, right? Jia, Jia bi Jahan. What's the was? In Surah Fajr. Jia bi Jahannam. Yeah. I'm not remembering it now. Jahannam is being brought. Yeah. وَجِيءَ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِجَهَنَّمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَتَذَكَّرُ الْإِنسَانُ. Right? On that day, Jahannam will be brought. وَجِيءَ يَوْمَئِذٍ بِجَهَنَّمْ. Yuja is he's being brought. So this is the same thing. Huh? Rama. Rama is again naqis, so Rumia. Rumia. Rama is to throw. Rumia, it was thrown or shot. Yarma, Yarmi, you becomes Yurma. So this is what we learn, inshallah. Ata is again very common to come. So Utiya, he was made to come. Yachi, Yuta. So Yuta means he is being brought. If you bring a B with this, it means it was brought, right? Something like that. So like Yuta bil mal, right? He is being brought with the money. That is, he's bringing the money, kind of. Right? So this is what it is. Wafa, wufia. Okay. I think this is enough for the intro, right? Let's begin the lesson, inshallah ta'ala. Hmm. I just wanted to give a brief because when we repeat it, because this is very important. When we repeat it, inshallah, it'll be helpful, right? Because he'll bring it in the main lesson, then we have exercises for the same thing. Nam. Nam, let's begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Lima ta'akhartum ya ikhwanu. Why are you late, oh brothers? This is form 5, by the way. He's bringing nowadays, right? Ta'akhara. If you see a ta in the front and the third letter has a dhamma, right? So it'll be form 5. Inshallah, we'll learn about it in future. But lima ta'akhartum, yeah, I have to drink some water. Give me a minute, please. Hmm. Lima ta'akhartum ya ikhwanu. Why are you late? Huh? Ta'akhara yata'akharu is form 5, inshallah. Ta'akhara is to uh, become late. Huh? Lima ta'akhartum ya ikhwanu. Why are you late, oh brothers? Huh? Az-Zubayr says, لِأَنَّ الْمَطْعَمَ فُتِحَ الْيَوْمَ مُتَأَخِّرًا. لِأَنَّ, right? Because the restaurant, لِأَنَّ is instead of inna. Mansub, because of lianna, futiha, fataha, yaftahu. How do you make it majhul? Futiha. Because we don't know who opened the restaurant late, right? The restaurant was opened late. Opened. Somebody opened. We don't know who that was. Because the restaurant was opened today late. And why are you late? Because the hotel was opened late. Futiha. Like fataha yaftahu. Futiha. Majhul. Or it's called mabniun lil majhul. It's fixed on majhul. Mata futiha. When was it opened? See? Madi. Majhul. Futiha sa'at sadisata. It was open at 6 o'clock. When was it open? At 6 o'clock. Hmm? 6 o'clock is late for these guys. Uh, وَمَتَى يُفْتَحُ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ. Right? And the teacher then says, وَمَتَى يُفْتَحُ. And when does it open? This is mudare. يَفْتَحُ becomes yuftahu. Right? You give the second last letter, fatha, and the previous letters, which has no sukun, you give it a dhamma. Yuftahu. The last letter, you don't touch the last letter. Huh? وَمَتَى يُفْتَحُ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ. And when does it open every day? Like, when does it open every day? Because you see, 6 is late. So it says, Jabir says, Jabirun, يُفْتَحُ السَّاعَةَ السَّادِسَةَ إِلَّا رُبْعًا. Right? It is, right? Mudare. Hmm? Mudare majhul. It is open at 6 o'clock. Sadis is 6, right? at 6 o'clock, illa ruban, except a quarter, right? So it is open at quarter to 6. Ruba is quarter. So it's open at 5:45 every day. Today, 15 minutes late, these guys open the shop. Al Mudaris. Okay, fine. Idlisu, right? Sit. Waftahul kitaba, and open your books. Open the book. Waftahul kitaba. And you all, right? Plural. Aina kitabuka ya Idrisu. Where is your book, O Idris? Now, he has to say, bring majhul verbs again. So it's creating context, right? Where's your book, O Idris? Idris says, Suriqa kitabi ya Ustaz. Because stolen, right, is the perfect example for passive. My book was stolen, O teacher. Because you don't know who stole it. So you cannot say, someone stole it. Saraqa ahadun kitabi. Right? Someone stole my book. You could say that actually. But better ways to say is, my book was stolen. Saraka yasruku, to steal. Saraka. Sariq is this, right? Is the stealer. What do you call it? Thief. Suriqa kitabi ya ustad. My book was stolen. Right? Majhul again. And kitabi is what? Naib file. Anytime you can see. Oh, here that is mustatir. Naib file can be mustatir also, right? Like file. Because you need not mention the object all the time. But here you have the kitabi. This is the naib file marfu. Huh? But because ya mutakallim say, we say dammatun muqaddara. Marfu'un. We remember, right? In three places it will be muqaddara, estimated. In ya mutakallim, this one. In manqus and maqsur. Musa, Isa, right? Qadi is manqus. So this is ya mutakallim. So say, how is it marfu? We say it is estimated. It was actually kitabui, because marfu, right? It has to be marfu. Now if my book was stolen, Ustad. Teacher got shocked. Sudiqa kitabuka, your book was stolen. Couldn't it be the object? There is no object for passive. If only there could be an object if the ma'loom verb, that is the active verb, took two objects. So what will happen is, the first object will become the naive file, and the second object will remain as the object. You see, so we learned, right? Like ata, we did not learn. I think we did not learn, but ata takes two objects. Like I gave you something. Ataytuka kitaban. Ataytuka kitaban. So ataytuka kitaban. Two is the file, and ka is mafulun bi awal, and kitaban is mafulun bi thanin. Right, the second mafulun bihi. Right now, I want to say you were given the book. I did not give you. Someone gave you. I mean, I could have given or someone else. So ata becomes utiya. Right? It comes in the Quran also. Utiya. He was given. Utiya. So ka, what will happen? Ataituka, we will have to change it into the passive, the marfu form, because ka is not marfu. Hmm? Utiya. So we'll say, you'll do the conjugation. Utita. The marfu form is uti anta, also we could have said, but we don't do that. We'll do utita. Right? Utita, you were given kitaban. Kitaban remains the same. So that's how. It sounds weird, but that's how it is. There is no object if it takes only one object. I mean, in the active form, there's no object for passive. No. If it takes, how can we identify about this thing? You'll know that this verb takes two objects, right? Takes two objects. Okay. So if those two are there, we'll learn later on those two verbs and so on. Now, these verbs take only one object. I hit you, khalas. Yeah, with practice, yeah. So now we are not concerned about the objects. Mafulun bihis. No, never. Because the mafulun bihis here are getting changed into a nai file, right? Okay. So suriqa kitabuka. See, we can see the dhamma here. Kitabuka. Right? Your book was stolen? Mata wa aina? When and where? Idrisu says, no tanween for Idrisu because it's foreign, ajami. سُرق البارحة من غرفتي وأنا غائب عنها. Right? Bariha is last night. It is also telling time. So it's Zarfu Zaman. So Mansub. سُرق البارحة. right? It was stolen last night from my room, min ghurfati. Right? So he's like sleeping or something. وأنا غائب. Acha, he was absent. وأنا غائب عنها, and I was absent from it. Because غاب يغيب, being from, absent from something, it takes an an. hmm? Uh, Like غبت عن المدرسة. We don't say غبت من المدرسة. We say غبت عن المدرسة. I was absent from the school, because in English we take it from, but in Arabic we take an an. I mean, that's how we translate. غائب عنها, I was absent, right? I was not there in it. Uh, Now, tell me this, where this could be actually a vowel hal, no? My book was stolen from my room while I was absent from it, right? This is vowel hal, correct? Last lesson's practice. Hmm? Because, yeah, now, because I translated wrong and I noticed it just now. And I was absent from it, because hal is what? It gives you a state. And this is giving the state, right? An action is taking place, and something, the state of the person or the place or whatever, right? So this is a state. وأنا غائب, while I was absent from it, correct? So sometimes you might get a doubt, like, is this hal or not, right? And we learn the other hal, which is the normal hal, which comes in one word, right? Like ja'a hamidun rakiban. He has a whole lesson for it. Hamid came riding, right? Hamid came riding. So what is riding this harakiban? Why is it mansub? Because that is hal. So what is hal actually? Hal is similar to an adjective, you see. But adjective is like more of a permanent thing. He's tall. It's permanent. You can't do anything about it. But he came riding. That riding adjective kind of, it gives you, it tells you that he is riding. It only lasts for his act of coming, right? Ja Hamidun Rakiban. If he came, that riding stops. So that is hal. It gives you an adjective, but for the action, kind of adverb, kind of, yeah, adverb kind of. It gives you, it describes the action. How is he coming? He's coming sitting, or mm. It could be for the file, or it could be for the maful and be also, right? Like akultu dajajata masbuhatan. I ate a chicken, or akhastu, or ishtaraitu, I could say. I purchased a hen masbuhatan, which was slaughtered. So here the hal is not for the file, is not for me purchasing, it's for the maful and the object. Because how did I purchase the chicken hen? Did I take it live, or did I do it? I took it, right? I took it slaughtered. I took a, right? Or darabtu Zaidan majdudan. I hit Zaid while he was in a state of being tied up. So you see, the tied up is the mafulun bihi. So hal, generally speaking, it's either for the file or a mafulun bihi. Hal words are masdars? No, no. It's files. I mean, rakiban, it's ismul file. Or maful, it generally comes for file or maful pattern. Huh? Hal. Yeah, Ismul file. We'll learn in lesson 4 or 5. Ismul file, he'll teach us about it. Like all, I think next lesson itself. Hmm. Ismul file and Ismul. What is difference between file and Ismul file? File is like Ja'a Zaidun. File tells you a function in a sentence. Like this is the doer of the action. Ismul file, it need not be the function in the sentence. Like um, uh, as-sariqu, as-sariq, the 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 thief, as-sariq. You're just talking about the thief, as-sariq. So you're using as-sariqu tawilun. The thief is tall. I'm not talking that he's mubtada now. It's not the function he's talking. The sariq, the construction of that word is on the pattern of fa'il, right? So that is called, it's called mushtaqat, and there are like 4 or 5 mushtaqat which are made from the verb or the masdar, right? Ismul file is those words who do something not necessarily in that sentence. Yeah, who do something not necessarily in that sentence. It's just his name, for example, right? Like Hamid. Hamid, how did it form? It's an ismul file, right? Hamid, Hamidun tawilun. It's an ismul file, the construction of the word, right? It's not file in that sentence. He's mubtada in that sentence. You understand? When you're talking about the construction of the word, we'll learn inshallah. It's called ismul fa'il and ismul maf'ul also, huh? Okay. So I was talking about something. Yeah, hal. Yeah, hal. This is all hal we learn in 26, 27 later on. That is hal. It's very common in the Quran and so on. And many times you'll get confused, like, is this hal or not? Hal is state, right? So you'll get confused. وَسُرِقَتْ مَعَهُ أَشْيَاءُ أُخَرَ. And other things were stolen along with it, along with this book, right? Ashiya'u is, we learned in the last session, it is a diptot. Ukhar, what is ukhar? There's akharu, another for masculine. And the plural of akharu is akharuna. So let me write it because you might get confused. Akharu, the plural is akharuna. What is the muannas? We learned, right? Ukhra. And the plural is ukhar. Because ukhra, you have to make ukhrayatun. It doesn't sound good, so they left it like ukhar for feminine. So ashiyau is because ghair aqil jama, right? You have to use singular feminine. But we can use plural also. So he used plural. We can say ashya ukhra also. That's fine. Like it comes in the Quran. Fi ayyamin ukhar. In he has to fast in other days. You could say fi ayyamin ukhra, or he used the plural form in the Quran also. So that's why he used ukhar here. Other things were lost because this is ghair aqil jama. So always kullu jama li ghairi aqilin muannas doesn't nearly necessarily apply. Sometimes you can break that rule also, especially for things which are things ghair aqil, right? I mean, you can change it. It's an option. Saati, so my watch was stolen. Wahidai, my shoes, uh, right? Shoes. I think one shoe it means, but you can say both shoes. Who will steal one shoe? Because حذاء, the plural is أحذية. معظم ملابسي, and most معظم is most, and it is like أكثر. أكثر ملابسي معظم, most of my clothes. المدرس says عوضك الله منها. عوض يعوض is to recompense. May Allah, it's form two because you see, inshallah, we'll learn. He's using a lot of these forms, right? And he just wants to memorize these forms as of now because when he brings it, you'll get an idea. Oh, we did it before. But I'm telling you, this is form two because you might rewatch this later on and you might understand form two and then you can get to know, oh, this is form two. Awadakallahu minha, may Allah replace you with it. Awada yu'awidu ta'wid. Yeah, allama kind. Yeah, allama. Uridul ana. I want to ask you, and as'alakum, and ask you, as'ala, an came so mansub, as'ilatan. A lot of questions. Fima darastum amsi. In what you have studied yesterday. Hmm. Fima darastum amsi. Notice we learned a rule. Did we learn in this book? If halfu jar comes and ma is coming, you drop the alif, right? But not here. Why? Because only in the questioning alif, ma istifhamia, not this ma. This is ma mausula. Mm. So this alif is not dropped. Right? It's just a writing rule, anyways. Amma yatasalun, for example. If you see amma, it was an plus ma alif. Right? Amma, my, but the alif is dropped because it's a harfu jar and ma istifhamia. Okay, but so it's to differentiate between that and this, you keep the alif. So you might get a doubt like, why is this alif not dropped? Even I got this doubt, right? You have to drop because I thought all mas you drop. No, not for all mas. Okay, fima darastu mamsi, in what you studied yesterday. Fi ayyi shahrin wulida. So he's again giving examples for wulida. Wulida means he was born. Walada means to give birth. Wulida means to be born. And this is very common use. In which month was the Prophet Rasul, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born? Shahrin. Ahmad says, Wulida sallallahu alaihi wasallam fi shahri Rabi'in al-awwal. We read this as Rabi'in al-awwali because Tanween is coming and Alif Lam is coming. So Noon Qutni, right? You give a small noon. He was born in Rabi'ul Awwal. Al-Mudarris, because it's Rabi'un al-awwal. We don't say that, but this is Tanween, huh? It's Rabi, the spring, the first spring. Rabi means spring. Would you explain which one? He was born. What should I explain? Oh, the Tanween rule. Oh, okay. We talked about in book two. Yeah, yeah. So this is like Muhammadun. I want to say Al Baqir. Why we saying Tanween? Oh, because Rabi is in a spring. Rabi means spring, but not the first spring, the second spring. I mean, not the second spring, the first spring. It's Rabi. It's the name is like that. في شهر ربيع الأول. Huh? نون كسرة. Oh, this is مضاف مضاف إليه. مضاف مضاف إليه. In the month of ربيع الأولي. So this أولي is the naat for ربيع. Hmm. Right? Not literally a naat also, I guess. Because if the naat, yeah, it has to be without alif lam, no? Hmm. So maybe it's just named like that. I don't know. I love it. I don't know what awal is. Because if it's a naat, there should be no awal. Al awal. Hmm. Rabi'an is fine. You can understand. But why al awal? So it's like the spring the first, William the second kind of. All right. And Jumada also means something. المدرس وفي أي سنة ولد صلى الله عليه وسلم يا جابر يا جابر. And in which year was the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام شهر ربيع المضاف مضاف إليه. Yeah, month of Rabi. In which year was he born? Alayhi salatu wassalam. Jabir says, Madri. I don't know. He could say, La adri. I did not know as any time at all. Because with Mudari we use La, right? But he used Ma. That means I don't know now. I don't remember now. Because remember, if you use Mudare with Ma Mudare, it means only for the present tense. Like Ma ashrabul qahwa. I don't drink coffee now. Al-Mudaris, Alam tadrusu haza? Didn't you all study this? So how can you not know all this? Lam came with Mudare, so past tense. Didn't you all study all this? Bala, of course we studied. Darasnahu, right? Of course, yeah. Darasnahu, we studied it. Walakinnani nasitu, but I forgot. Nasitu, nasiya yansa nasitu, but I forgot. Al-Mudarrisu man ya'rifu haza? Who knows this? Right? Arafa ya'rifu. Who knows this? So who can tell the answer? Idrisu. ولد صلى الله عليه وسلم عام 70 و500 للميلاد. Right? The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام was born in the year. Ama, why again mansub? Because anything which tells you the time or the place becomes like it's called naibu zarf, or sometimes it's called zarf itself. It becomes mansub. Ama, the year of sab'ina. Sab'ina is 70. Wa khamsimiyatin, right? And 500. So 570 lil miladi. So he was born in 570 miladi. Miladi is Christian era. 570 Christian era. المدرس هذا صحيح. This is correct. في أي عام ولدت أنت يا إدريس? In which year were you born, O Idris? ولدت أنت. أنت is like for stress. Because if you say في أي عام ولدت يا إدريس, it's fine. أنت is like you. I'm talking to you. إدريس ولدت. I was born. عام 85 و300 وألف للهجرة. All numbers. Huh? He's giving a revision for numbers. Don't worry, we're not learning numbers again. Huh? He was born in the year خمسة 5 وثمانين 80, so 85 وثلاثمية 385, 300, right? Yeah, 385 وألف, so 1385 للهجرة, 1385 Hijri. So that's like almost 65 years ago. They became old now, these students. وفي أي عام ولدت أنت يا أحمد? And in which year were you born, O Ahmad? Ahmed says, Vulittu, I was born in, right? See, Vulittu again, all this, yeah. Two is the nai file. It's not the file here, it's the nai file. Yeah, two. I was born in Am Sab'atin. So I was born in Sittina, Tis'amiyatin wa Alfin lil Miyad. So let's see, Am 7, right? 16, 67. وتسعمية. So 900 is 900. So 967 وألف. So 1967 miladi is Krishna. 1967. He was born in 1967. 1 year elder to my mom. She was born in 1968. المدرس أين ولدت يا أحمد? Where were you born, oh Ahmad? Ahmad said ولدت في Pakistan. I was born in Pakistan. المدرس أنت إذا باكستاني. أنت إذا باكستاني. You are then إذا. So we, yeah, all those pronouns, yes, are naive files. Yes, ولدت, correct. Yes, it's not files now. Ta tuma tum ti tuma tunna. No, right? It is naive files. You are now. Idan is then, huh? Idan is then. So you are then Pakistani yun. You are then Pakistani. Right? This ya is called ya'un nisba. Ya'un nisba. Okay. So you want to say something, give nisba to something. Nisba is relation. So Pakistan, you are something of Pakistan. So you say Pakistani you. Hmm? Or the thing is Pakistani. Indian, Hindu, Al Hindu, you can say Hindi yun. Ya of relation. Mm. America, Amerikiyun, American. Like in English, we give It depends in English because American, Pakistanian, no, Pakistani, Indian. So I in some places there. German. In Arabic, it's common. You give ya to everything. Yeah, German, Almani yun, Pakistani yun, and so on. So Pakistani. Isma'u ya ikhwan. Listen, we learn about this. Yeah, listen, oh brothers. أشرح الآن قاعدة نحوية مهمة. I will explain now a rule, نحوية, a grammar rule, مهمة. So an important grammar rule, right? Adjectives, not important grammar rule. الفعل, the verb is إما. إما means what? Either. إما. إما either. إما مبني للمعلوم. The verb can be either مبني للمعلوم. It can be مبني for active voice, but we'll call it مبني للمعلوم, the name it is. That it could be active voice. وإما مبني للمجهول, or it can be fixed on مجهول. مبني means fixed, right? I mean, you cannot, فعل will always be فعل. You cannot change into فعل, nothing. Even the barbs, there's no barbs at all. Thank God, alhamdulillah. Right? There's no barbs at all. Like, oh, it's bab karuma, so we have to make it something else, or bab daraba. No, everything is made in one bab. Alas, everything. Right? Whichever it is. Yasma'u, yusma'u. Yadribu, yudrabu. Same. Yufal, 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 yufal. There's no change at all. أما المبني للمعلوم, as for the active voice or as for the معلوم verbs, فمثل قتل يقتل, it is like قتل يقتل, active. وأما المبني للمجهول, as for the مبني للمجهول, فمثل قتل يقتل, it is like قتل يقتل. فعل يفعل, right? يحذف الفاعل مع الفعل. So the file is what is called omitted along with the verb al mabni lil majhul, right? So along with the majhul verb there's no file. No. Wa yahullu, halla yahullu is to take someone's place. Halla yahullu is to take some replace. Wa yahullu al maf'ul bihi, so maf'ul bihi will take its place. So what is place? Mahal, right? Mahal, like Taj Mahal. I don't know if it came in the same thing. But mahal in Arabic means a place. It's also called shop nowadays, right? Matchar, it's called mahal, mahal, mahal tijari. It's like a shop. ويحل المفعول به محله. So the maf'ulun bihi will take its place, right? So it will replace its place. So maf'ulun bihi will take the file's place. ويسمى, samma yusammi is to name someone. The it's like weak verb. So yeah, samma yusammi. Yusammi means he is naming someone, but it is named. It's called yusamma. This is majhul again. So it is named yusamma. Yufalu pattern, but it is weak verb. يسمى نائب فاعل, and it is named as نائب فاعل وهو مرفوع. نائب فاعل is always مرفوع. نقول, we say قتل الجندي الجاسوس. Jundi is the soldier. Jundullah, soldier. Called as, yeah. It is named as or called as, yes. We can say called as also. Now, so the soldier killed the jasus, the spy. So you want to delete the file. So you say, Qutil al jasusu, right? The spy was killed. So this is news reporting, right? You don't know who killed, right? So the spy was killed, the headlines, right? Qutil al jasus. يسمع الناس الأذان بوضوح. The people heard the azan clearly. وضوح is clearly. So يسمع الأذان بوضوح. Azan is heard clearly. I mean, we can hear the azan clearly. It is here heard clearly. It is being heard clearly. يسمع. يا معاوية ابن الفعل. ابن بنى يبني is to build, right? Build. So ibni is make here because make a verb in this فعل هذه الجملة للمجهول. In this sentence majhul. So he's giving a sentence. خلق الله الإنسان من طين. Allah created the insan from clay. So Muawiyah too says خلق الإنسان من طين. So لفظ الجلالة, the file is removed and then insana becomes insanu. Now file marfu. خلق الإنسان من طين. Insan was created from طين, clay. هنا الإنسان نائب file. Here insan is the naib file. The teacher says, oh, we have, inshallah, we'll finish this. Yeah. هاتي مثالا آخر للفعل المبني المجهول يا إدريس. Give another example for فعل مبني. He's just giving examples for فعل مبني للمجهول يا إدريس. Give more examples for فعل مبني للمجهول. So قتل عمر رضي الله عنه وهو يصلي بالناس في المسجد النبوي. قتل عمر. Umar was killed وهو يصلي and he was praying بالناس. So صلى B means he was praying as an imam. Right? This gives the meaning. Yusalli bin Nasi, that is, he was leading as an imam till Masjid al Nabawi in the prophetic mosque. Yeah, yeah. Wow is hal again, correct. While I translated and yeah, yeah, wow is hal again. While he was leading the people in the prayer in Masjid al Nabawi. You have to be careful, huh? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Even if you don't say and, it doesn't change. يا أحمد أو أحمد هاتي مثالا آخر على أن يكون الفعل فيه مضارعا. Give another example, another akhara, right? على on that أن يكون, that it should be. يكون means it could be or it should be. الفعل, the verb should be مضارعا, right? So it should be مجهول and مضارع. أن يكون. uh, أحمد says يقتل آلاف, right? يقتل آلاف من الناس في الحروب. Thousands of people are killed in wars. آلاف is ألف آلاف, thousands آلاف. المدرس يا جابر هاتي مثالا آخر على أن يكون نائب فاعل فيه مؤنثا. Right? So نائب file here, give another example where the نائب file is مؤنث. مؤنث, you have to make it مؤنث. Huh? Like the conjugation, you have to be careful. Again, this also has a conjugation. Like تقرأ سورة الفاتحة في كل ركعة. تقرأ, instead of يقرأ, it starts with a ta. Why? Because يقرأ يقرأان يقرأون تقرأ. Surah is muannas. So تقرأ Surah Al-Fatiha is read in every rak'atin. Right? Last one. المدرس يا حسن أتستطيع أن تذكر آية فيها فعل مبني للمجهول؟ Oh Hassan, استطاع يستطيع is from 10 inshallah. We'll learn. Are you able to be able to استطاعت أن تذكر ذكر يذكر words in which we have فعل مبني للمجهول. We have a passive verb. نعم أستطيع بعون الله. Yes, I can. I'm able to. عون is help. بإذن الله or بنصر الله. With the help of Allah. عون. عانى يعون عونا is to help. قال تعالى والذين يدعون من دون الله لا يخلقون شيئا وهم يخلقون. And those, الذين جمع is those, والذين يدعون, دعا يدعو is to call. والذين يدعون, those who call من دون الله, they call to other than Allah. دون is other than Allah, من غير الله. لا يخلقون شيئا, they do not create anything. خلق this is not مجهول, this is معلوم. لا يخلقون شيئا, they do not create anything. while, so we can translate this hal again. Wahum yukhlaqun, while they themselves are created, right? They themselves are created. I mean, you worship human beings, and they don't create anything. Did they create the sun and the moon? Wahum yukhlaqun, while they themselves are created. Now, المدرس أحسنت يا حسن, right? Very good. Oh, Hassan, أحسنت, you did good. أيمكنك أن تذكر حديثا نبويا. See, nabawi is also yaw nisba, like nabi, nabawi. We learn inshallah, he gives examples. It's a relation, right? Prophetic, we say, I see in English. In Arabic, we add a ya, right? Like akhun, brother. So you want to say brotherly, akhawi, al masjidun nabawi. Why? Because prophetic mosque, masjid. حديثا نبويا يحوي, حوا يحوي is to contain, فعلا مبنيا للمجهول يا زبير. So is it possible that you can mention a prophetic hadith which contains, حوا يحوي is to contain, now new verb, حوا يحوي is to contain, which contains a majhul passive verb. يمكنني inshallah, it is possible. Yeah, أمكن يمكن, this is form 4. We learn inshallah يمكن is to be possible. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يلدغ المؤمن من جحر واحد مرتين. لدغ يلدغ is to sting. The mu'min is not stung. Juhr is a hole, from the same hole twice. من جحر واحد, from the same hole twice, right? So a Muslim does not do the same mistake again and again. Like you trust someone one time, and then he breaks your trust. You're careful next time, right? You're not a fool. Muslims are not naive so much that they should do the same mistake again and again and again. Right? Awesome. And this is very common. People do that. Masha Allahu. Right? Such a beautiful hadith. Rawah al-Bukhari wal Muslim. That is an authentic hadith. Bukhari Muslim. Al-Hussein say, Intaha al-waqtu ya ustad. Hussein is very quick. Huh? The time is over. Right? Intaha al-waqt. Intaha yantahi. We'll learn inshallah. It is form 8. You can say 7 also. You can get confused because you see a in. But uh, if you delete the in, there's no verb called taha. So it's naha, naha yanha, to prohibit. Intaha is to finish. Yeah, ladaga sting or bitten. Yeah, you could say bitten also. Now, is not stung or bitten. Yeah. Aranna al jarasu. Ranna yarinu. Is did the bell ring? لا يسمع صوت الجرس في فصلنا هذا. Yusma'u. Again, he wants to use majhul. Right? The bell sound is not heard, is not being heard in our class now, in our class, in this hour. Faslina haza, you can say, in a class of this, something like that. Munzu mata, since when? Munzu usbu'aini aw akthar, since 2 weeks or more. Inshallah, we can do the exercises next week. Uh, I want to see last thing, the i'rab of these verbs. Just few minutes. I just want to see the i'rab. This is Surah Nahl, verse number 20. Surah Nahl, verse 20. Let's go to i'rab al-muyassar. Wow, atifa aw haliya. See, sometimes you can say haliya or atifa. He says both. I'rab al-Quran. Because you can translate both, and they are themselves created, or while they are themselves created. لا يخلقون شيئا وهم الواو الحالية. He says حالية. نعم. Right. So let's look where's the picture one? Arab. There's some photo one, right? Okay. This Jadwal, what he says? وهم يخلقون. There was a photo one. من مشكلة المجتمع إعراب القرآن إعراب القرآن. Oh, there's Marsum is not there for this verse. Okay. Naam, so you can say both Wawul Hal or Wawul Atf. Naam. Inshallah, we'll do the exercises. I mean, this is based on the lesson, anyways. We can see the answers and do this. And then he gives examples for Nai file and so on. It'll be a good revision for us. Jazakallahu khairan. Barakallah. Barakallahu feekum. Right? Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. See you in the next class, inshallah ta'ala. The second lesson test is also I've created. So you can try it out, inshallah. Just 5 questions, very easy test, but still something is better than nothing, inshallah. Right, please try out the tests, right, inshallah. Jazakallahu khairan, barakallahu feekum. And so there are 5 tests till now. Lesson 1 has 4 tests, and lesson 2 has 1 test. Inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.